So the advice I'd give to somebody online is that you have a much easier road than I ever had. I had to be physically places to do it. You can, in your spare time, you can go online and explore and search all kinds of things outside your comfort zone. You can if you have influence, you can ask every one of your audience to tell you their hobbies, if they're adults, their jobs, collect for you their journals, sales material they get, emails they get, tell you what podcasts they listen to and why. You can talk to other influencers and try to ask questions most people don't. Tell me what drives you, tell me your values, tell me what you're thinking when you write an email or talk to somebody or do a video. You can have your your audiences share with you why they like different things, the books they read, other than the stuff on your topics. You can, if you want to do something fun. What I used to tell people to do is we would on Saturdays or Sundays tell them to go to their local conference hotel or conference center when we weren't in COVID, and just walk through and see if you could sit in on any of the multitude of seminars and meetings going on, and you'll see all kinds of different realities going on, and ask questions. When I did seminars before bookstores were out of business, we used to go to bookstores before the seminar and buy 800 or 1,000 discontinued books that were nonfiction or magazines, and we would have all the participants tell us what their strongest talent, interest, or hobby was. And let's say yours was video. I might give you a book on cake decorating and make you go to your room and for 2 hours read at least 2 chapters. Or if it was a magazine on it, 2 articles, and come back and report something distinctive you never knew about that you can actually see has some direct or indirect application to what you do. But force yourself to do that. We have a program we created years ago called How to Think Differently. It was actually called Do Something Differently. And every week for 13 weeks, we would give participants one thing to do different. The first thing we said to do was you get up in the morning and you have a process. First thing, almost everybody goes to the bathroom. Then they might take a shower, or they might have a coffee or a tea, they might read the paper, they might watch the news or the investment news, then something else, then they get dressed, then if they didn't work from home, they get in their car and they usually drive the fastest, quickest route, the highway, or they take the train. And we'd say, go to the bathroom because you got to do that, but everything else reverse, change. If you usually take a shower first, take a shower last. If you eat first, eat last. If you drive down the highway, drive down the side streets and shake up your reality to experience something different. We had all kinds of progressions, but you're never going to expand if you don't stretch. If you think about it, our lives are really nothing more than physics. Physics is you expand or you contract, you grow or you die. People don't realize that you can't stay static. It doesn't exist. So if you don't invest money, time, effort, intrigue, and interest, inquiry into growth, by its nature, you are investing into decline, regression, diminishment. And so when you think about that, there's a lot of merit in growing. And you don't just grow as a business, you grow as a leader, you grow as an entrepreneur. If you know that anything you're in now is going to constantly evolve, change, become obsolete, you better grow in your technological ability, you better grow in your sense of where the world economy trends are going, you better grow in seeing what vehicles of connection, communication exist, you better grow in learning all about different nuances, niches, because if you don't grow to make yourself, there's two things. Optimization is making everything you do better. Innovation is making everything you do obsolete. You have to be able to integrate both of those. First thing you want to do is optimize. I've been involved in so many industries that I know, for example, I know 125 ways to generate no cost, no risk, high converting referrals. I know probably 80 ways to generate prospects or leads. I know, I don't know, maybe 40 ways to add more value. I know 43 ways to structure joint ventures with other people where they'll put up all the resources. If you don't even know one, who has more advantage? There's a famous saying, if you have 99 ways to say no and I have 100 ways to get you to say yes, if we stay in conversation, I'll win. But if most people don't have one way to do it, they don't understand that the more ways you have to achieve a goal, the more geometric leverage you get on the upside. But if you have one way or no ways, well, then it's pretty limited. If you have 5 ways and everyone else has one, you have not even a 5 time. It's normally asymmetric, the advantage. But you have to force yourself to start. And it's usually, if you open your mind, it's fascinating, it's invigorating, it's liberating, it's intoxicating, and it allows your brain to give you all kinds of innovative and all kinds of performance advantage. Here's the thing. From the point of time, no matter what you believe, that human nature is either, crawled out of the ocean or were put on this earth, by a God figure, till the point that either we're annihilated by a nuclear holocaust or Armageddon, human nature hasn't changed. I mean, there's 5 or 7 denominators everybody wants, and they are probably more, they're dynamic, meaning with a high technology world, when you can be a hero on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, it changes. But there are methodology, there are technology, there are strategies and techniques that were given birth to earlier in the 20th century that endure today. They just have to be modified to whether your concentration is 3 minutes or 30, whether you'll read something long or short. Things like variability in testing. I mean, we've changed a headline and gotten a 500% improvement. We've changed a risk reversal and gotten a 40% improvement. We've changed a price and gotten a 40 or 50% improvement. We've added a bonus and gotten a double on on the yield. Each one of those are separate, not together. So it's that on top of that, on top of that, on top of that, which is geometric. We've changed the media approach. I have a client that 2 years ago, we got them the ability to, instead of paying 100% for media they were buying, we were able to buy it for 80% off on remnant, and that gave them the ability to take something that didn't work and make it obscenely profitable, and they grew 400% in a year just by that one shift. You can change fixed expenses to variable by making media your partner. You can do strategic alliances. There's 9 different macro categories, as I said, 43 different ways. I created a $250 million, that's a $250 million training program many years ago when I was into the seminar business, and I spent 300 grand total to do it. The rest was on strategic alliance profit sharing. There's a concept called allowable cost, and when you understand allowable cost, which ties into lifetime value, then you have an unlimited marketing budget, an unlimited commission for your salespeople. Just thinking differently, but all these are old school. Reason why advertising. I think I personally, in everything I do for myself and my client, I want to respect the intelligence of my market. I don't say free. I usually will say, we'll buy it for you, because I think it has a higher perceived value, and you can test it. But whatever I'm going to do that you don't pay for, I will give you a rationale of why. Because I think that today people they're suspect of free. They think, okay, they're going to get me, so I'll just tell them why, I'll tell them how, I'll tell them what's going to happen, and I'll give them permission to leave if they don't like it, so that I have integrity. Penetrating a market from multiple different impact points. Most people, frankly, build a whole business on one source. Instagram, Facebook, search, SEO. And it always fascinates me when I do groups. I'll say, okay, tell me the big driver. And you might say SEO, and the gentleman over here might say Facebook, and this person might say YouTube. And I'll say, well, if 100% of your business comes from search and 100% of theirs comes from Facebook, what would happen if you added Facebook? Even 10% more. And you added Instagram, even 10%. And you added this and you added that. It would not be 10%, it'd be 10 times 10 times 10 times 5 times 10, which is hundreds of percent growth, which if your business is marginal, you get above a fixed base, and the profit is double, triple, quadruple for every new buyer you bring in. And then if you add new back ends, I mean, the idea of upselling, downselling, cross-selling, that came from 1930 marketing. It's applied today to everything, but it's just the same thing. Testing headlines or the equivalent. The equivalent is what a salesperson says on the phone. We've changed the way people greet people at the front door or on the phone when they talk to somebody, and tripled closures for no other investment. So I mean, these are just things that they're not breakthrough things that were discovered in 2021. These are things that I discovered when I started at age, 22. And I'm talking about, I'm not age 22 anymore, so this is 50 years ago. And I discovered them from people that discovered them 50 years earlier. Yeah, people, if you look at people, many of the people that I have influenced who are influencers in digital, social media, they used what I taught. They came to my programs, they bought my materials, and then they translated it to digital or social, which is great. But I'm not an original thinker. I'm a synthesizer, and neither are they. This all goes back. If you want to really master any form of marketing, no matter how it morphs, go back to the basics, because it's all the same. And the more you have arrows in your quiver, I just gave you, I can show you 8 things to test in your marketing. I can show you how to test different ways to reach the market, different ways to collaborate with people that already have access to the market, different things to do if you only have one product to sell where you can make more money, how to go back to everybody who's inactive buyer or an unsold prospect and monetize them. This is cool stuff, but it all was discovered in 1930 and 40. There's 2 implications. The first is, I love the quote from Socrates, "A life unexamined is a life not worth living." And I think it gives birth to a business quote that I came up with. A business that isn't constantly examined and re-examined from every focal plane imaginable, performance-wise, revenue-wise, just the yield on people, the performance of everything, is a business not worth owning, because there's so many factors that you can improve. And I learned very early, and it's probably the most powerful distinction I ever got out of all my life work. It's easier to work on the geometry of a business than do it linear. We teach people that you can actually take profit performance beyond exponential. They go, oh, it's impossible. I said, it's not. If you look mathematically, there are 5 gradients above what's called exponentiation that you can take things, and if you look at it, the zeros are off the chart. Tetration, heptation, pentation, hexation, octation. These are like off the chart. But if you can perform above exponential, and most people are satisfied with incremental, maybe if this is exponential and this is way beyond it and this is incremental, you got a lot of wiggle room to grow, don't you think? So you can't grow if you don't know where you're at. I want to know what yield I'm getting. I want to know how it's converting. And most of the people, by the way, this is a very interesting conclusion. The problem that most people have is they trust the algorithm for everything. And the algorithm is cool, But if this is a revenue system, this is where the algorithm fits in. You know, the premise in the beginning, who you're targeting, why you're targeting, the niches, that's not addressed by the algorithm. What happens when they come in isn't addressed by the algorithm. I have a big client. It's a very large car dealer. And when I started working, they were so proud that they got their Facebook cost of acquisition of a car buyer down from 400 to 320. And they sell 1,000 cars a month, so it was $80,000 of savings. But I said, but have you looked at, since all car buyers aren't worth the same, some might be 5 times more profitable, some might, buy a car, trade a car, which is more profitable to the dealer today because used cars are in just a tremendous demand. They might finance, and a finance is $2,000 profit. They might buy upgrades. And I said, have you looked at the different sources of buyers? Because just paying $320 for all kinds of buyers, you may be underpaying. Maybe you should be spending $500 for somebody that's worth $5,000 profit instead of $1,000. But if you don't know that, just because the algorithm has gotten the macro acquisition down, then you're really underperforming the potential. I look at all kinds of things like that. I think it's because most entrepreneurs, even seemingly sophisticated ones, don't understand all the nuclear granular implications of optimization. They don't understand there's a lot more going on in a revenue system that can be optimized, from who you're targeting, how you're targeting, what you're trying to do to start. This is very interesting, but I taught this to another car dealer, and he analyzed something as simple as his finance managers. When you buy a car here in the United States, you go afterwards to finance, and they set up your financing, and they make money on it. But he did an analysis, and he found that his nighttime finance manager averaged 50% more profit per sale than his daytime. But the daytime was getting access to 4 times more buyers. So just by flipping their work schedules, he added $200,000 more profit monthly to his bottom line. That's what analyzing and basically examining from those kind of more granular impact factors can mean.